Now 11 pops up, and guess who's sitting there? Now it's Jim Harbaugh at 11. And why can he move back? Because the player that he covets, the player that he likes, and the position group that he covets is still available. And he picked up an extra pick here in the 20s in the first round, so he can not only go Brock Bowers right here as a tight end, but now he can sit here and still take an offensive lineman because that position is very deep during the course of this first round. And so he's going to get Brock Bowers and some offensive linemen later. But Bowers is prototypical for a Jim Harbaugh offense. Everyone's talking about, well, they need a wide receiver. They need a wide receiver. It's a perfect position for a wide receiver. Jim Harbaugh has never prioritized wide receiver. That doesn't mean he hasn't had good ones, but he hasn't prioritized that. He inherited a couple in San Francisco, but what has he prioritized? Tight ends. Why does he prioritize tight ends? Because he wants to run offense out of 12 personnel, 1 back, 2 tight ends. He wants to because that puts pressure on the defense. You can be in a spread set and throw the ball, or you can get big and run those extra gap run schemes that he loves to run. Counter, gap, pin and pull, all these things that he likes to do. And I think Bowers is, by the way, an underrated run blocker, even though I don't think you're just going to sit him in there just to be a run blocker, but he can own the middle of the field. You know how I feel about players in the passing game that can own the middle of the field. You don't generally win a Super Bowl unless you have that style of player, i.e. in the last 8 years, Gronk, Cooper Kupp, Travis Kelce. Bowers is that type of a guy. And I think Harbaugh loves Brock Bowers. So I've got him at 11, which leaves Denver at 12. Denver has to get a quarterback. I believe that they value Bo Nix. Now, I think Denver is going to desperately try to trade down in this position, because I think in their mind, they can get Bo Nix later. The problem is there's not really a player, when you're mocking this out, that you would sit there and say someone has to move to 12 to get. There's just not that guy. You got the best edge rusher off the table. You got the best wide receivers, now the best tight end. You're not going up there for a running back, obviously. I don't think the corners are of that value. So it's like, who senses the urgency that they've got to jump to 12 to make that pick? I don't think that there is that team, which means that Denver is going to take the guy that they target. Now, is this maybe an overdraft of Bo Nix? Yeah, it might be, but this is the right fit for Bo Nix. And there's got to be more attention paid to fit for the quarterbacks than just best player available. I think Sean Payton's offense is perfect for Bo Nix. Perfect for him. He wants a point guard out there, a guy that wants 5 free releases, can protect himself with his mind, is accurate, can get the ball out quickly. He doesn't want a Russell Wilson style who wants to create and hold the ball and throw it way downfield. I think Bo Nix in a lot of ways is a version of Drew Brees. He might not be as polished a passer coming out of college that Brees was out of Purdue, but Nix is a similar style in terms of their cerebral nature and their point guard nature and their ability to distribute the football. That's a good fit. Bo Nix to Denver at 12, which leaves the Raiders on the clock at 13. And similarly, I think that the Raiders are sitting there and they've got to answer questions at the quarterback spot. They just do. They could go in a lot of different ways here, but Michael Penix at 13 to Vegas makes a lot of sense to me. He is one of the most polarizing players in the draft. I don't know why, though. This guy was asked to do at Washington exactly what he's going to do in the National Football League. You don't have to project. We got to see him 15, 20, 25 times a game, drop back and have to control the field from the pocket, make full field reads, make those reads that are combination routes that are adjustments down the field based on secondary look, and he made those beautifully. And I always make this point when I talk about Michael Penix because it's my favorite one. He's the best deep ball thrower in this draft, but it's not just that. I think that sells him short. He passes the football down the field. When you watch the leverage and ball placement that he uses down the field, it is better than anybody in this draft and better than a lot of people that I've evaluated in the last few years. He's constantly putting his wide receivers and pass catchers in better odds, giving them better ratios than 50-50 in a 50-50 situation, right? It's tight coverage down the field, and he's always putting the ball on the offensive player's side, throwing them away from the defender. And that's a trait that I really love with Michael Penix. All right, Saints are up now. Taliesin Fuaga fits here for me. I think that they could go in a lot of different directions. He played right tackle. Their right tackle, Ryan Ramczyk, not recovering well from that knee surgery. There are concerns about his ability to play this year. So to me, this makes some sense. Fuaga at 14 to the Saints. Then you move to 15, and here's the Colts. I think the Colts need help in the secondary. My best secondary player is Quinyon Mitchell, the corner from Toledo. I think there's some discussion whether it's going to be Terrion Arnold or Quinyon Mitchell. Mitchell ran a faster 40. He's stronger. I love his length. I'm not scared off by the fact that he played at Toledo because I'm watching Sauce Gardner blossom into the best corner in the league, and he played at a lower level. So to me, the Toledo thing is not an excuse, and I've got Quinyon Mitchell right there to the Colts. 16, the Seahawks. Mike Macdonald, new head coach of the Seahawks. What is he going to want to do? He's going to want to implement his strategy, his defensive philosophy. What does he need? A run wall. It starts with a run wall. It starts with defensive tackles. Byron Murphy is right there, the Texas defensive tackle. And Byron Murphy, to me, is a great fit in Seattle for Mike Macdonald. It fits what he wants to do from a philosophy standpoint. He can really lean in to what that defense is, which is build a run wall, create hybrid players and hard edges on the outside, hybrid second level and middle of the field players, guys like Mike Sainristil and Junior Colson from Michigan. Those are the type of people that they want, and Byron Murphy starts that. There's an old adage that you build a defense front to back and inside out. Well, if you're starting to build a defense, Byron Murphy is a great piece right there, a foundational piece in the interior. Jaguars are up at 17. I think corner is a good spot. So let's say Colts went Terrion Arnold. They could take Quinyon Mitchell, but if Terrion Arnold's on the board, that's a terrific spot for Terrion Arnold. He can solidify that secondary. I really love his story. He was recruited by a lot of people as a safety. Nick Saban knew he was going to play him as a corner, redshirted, then was a freshman All-American his redshirt freshman year, then was an All-American last year, and a real ball hawk. And he doesn't have a ton of experience, which to me means that he's got tremendous upside. I wish he would have run faster at the combine, but I love his game. He's aggressive. You know he's coached well. Terrion Arnold to the Jaguars right there at 17. Now the Bengals are up. I think that this is an interesting spot for the Bengals because it's a deep draft at wide receiver, and they need some insurance as it relates to T. Higgins, right? So I like Brian Thomas from LSU. We're just running back the whole LSU thing. We're just going to from Tigers to Bengals. You know, we got all these guys and another LSU Tiger up there with Joe Burrow. I like this pick a lot. Brian Thomas is a heck of a player. In any other draft, he would be pushing the top 10, but those three at the top are just elite players. So this is a good spot for Brian Thomas with Cincinnati. Rams, they're going to be sitting there and they're going to look at this draft and they're going to think to themselves like, man, we can get our second best edge player in the draft. How about Jared Verse there to the Rams? To me, that makes a lot of sense. I love his production. Okay, Jared Verse, he's a really good player. He has produced at a high level. And to me, that says everything. You got to have that production. I love his quickness, his strength, and the fact that he plays hard on every down. You see him go hard against the run. You see him go hard when he's trying to get to the passer. At number 20, Steelers. This one was a little bit harder for me because I'm like, what are the Steelers really going to do with Russell Wilson and Justin Fields? What does this look like? And to me, I'm thinking to myself, like, okay, you've got Broderick Jones, who now you can move to left tackle, and now you can take a former teammate of his at Georgia and go Amarius Mims at right tackle. So Mims makes some sense for me at Pittsburgh. And it lets them lean into this line of scrimmage, toughness mold that they've always been. So to me, an offensive lineman there for Pittsburgh makes a lot of sense. Thank you for watching the Joel Klatt Show YouTube channel. And if you liked this clip, make sure to like it and subscribe to the channel. And you can stay up to date on all of my college football coverage.